forward to our last set of discussion, which is on creating differentiation, avoiding the pitfalls of monotony. Now, there have been talks about availability of dark, adult, and predictable content on OTT platforms by many people of late. So, to break this monotony, or I can say to break this image and bring product differentiation by OTT platforms, is becoming really necessary. Let's see what our prominent speakers have to say about such issues. So, I'm profoundly elated to welcome Ms. Divya Dikshit, who is Senior Vice President, Marketing and Revenue, All Balaji. Welcome, ma'am. We have with us Mr. Jay Lala, Chief Executive Officer, Zenith India. Welcome to you, sir. Mr. Karan Taurani is also with us, SVP Research Analyst, Elara Capital. Welcome, sir. Mr. Shaili Bhadra Shah, Chief Executive Officer, ABC Talkies. A very warm welcome to you, sir. And I would like to request Mr. Neil Pandya, CEO, APAC Pixels One, to moderate this discussion. Over to you, Neil.
Okay. Thank you so much, guys. I think for all our panel, before we are cut towards the end, that we are running short of time and we might have to cut some discussion. We'll try and keep most of the answers crisper so that we can try and cover more ground. So firstly, good evening, listeners. I think thank you, team AdGully and Bijoya for inviting all of us. I'm super excited today for a couple of reasons. One, obviously the topic, because this topic is from a marketer's perspective, I think we can speak our heart out. And at the same time, from a consumer's perspective also, we would be really happy to share our content consumption as a habit for all of us. And secondly, why I'm excited, because of the brilliant panel I have. I think I have who's responsible in the content creation in the panel. So I have Divya and Shaili Bhadra from content creators side. I have Jay, who has been veteran into the media industry and has been dealing with multiple clients over the years. And I have Karan, who has brilliant experience into research, and he will highlight a lot of numbers backing for all our discussion. So having all of you here, so firstly, welcome, guys. So in short, I have everyone covered to ensure that we have right discussion happening in the next 45 minutes. So all our listeners, stay glued. I think I am expecting a power pack discussion happening. Guys, I think before I jump one-on-one question to all of you guys, I think I have one icebreaker question for all of you. And it should be like a quick answer and just with a one-liner reason why. So if all of you have to pick between theater, television and OTT, what would be your choice and a one-liner why? Anyone can go. Jai, do you want to go?
Yeah, thanks, Neil. OTT, without any hesitance. I think one of the primary reason is the kind of content it provides. So for me, it's OTT.
Brilliant. Karan?
Yeah, so I think for me, I think the format would be cinema largely because it is very suitable, for the large cinematic scale kind of content. And the surround system, everything put together. The theater experience cannot be replicated at home at all.
Brilliant. Shaili Bhadra?
I think I will go for two choices. Theater, as Karan said, can't be replicated at home, but the second choice definitely is OTT.
Nice. Do we have Divya here? I can't see. Is Divya here?
I don't think she's been able to join.
Okay, so okay, on behalf of Divya, I'll answer on my particular choice also. I'm a hardcore OTT guys. I don't think so. I have cable at my home for 6 years now. A little bit biased because when I was a media planner or a media digital guy, I really did not wanted to harass my agency that meri ad kyun nahi dikh rahi hai time pe, because I used to watch particular channels. So I prefer content which is not so advertising skewed. So that having said that, I think we have let me move one-on-one with you guys. I would want to start with content creators first, because now I have got preferences from all of you. What do you like? So it helps me to make my frame of questions very easy. So let me start with Shaili first with you. I hope you don't mind me calling you that. Okay, so let me start with Shaili Bhadra first about Shaili, I think we all have heard over the years that differentiated content is going to be the need of the hour. This could be, how do we actually create differentiated content? Do we really go and invest into original content and define that as differentiated content? Or I become a curator of content, put it at one side, and I make it differentiated content? Or someone mentioned before the start of the session, adult content and a lot of dark content which is coming as in differentiated content. Basis your perspective being a content creator, what do you feel is actually a differentiated content?
So according to me, I think it's a combination of both. So when you look at original, it gives you the leverage to create content that differentiates your targeted audience. And when you say curated content, that helps you build the library based again on your targeted audience. So, both of them are very important, the way you look at it. And the third point that you mentioned, it's a kind of differentiated content, and there have been platforms that have leveraged it very beautifully. And of course, they are facing the music now. So they are evolving, and I think they're going to find ways around how to keep living with it for at least some time to come, because the Indian audience is giving into that kind of content.
Correct. I think it's a very fair answer, because I think we have seen that type of a content differentiated on television also years back, but there was a time band after 10 p.m. you can show those content and all that things. But with OTT coming in place, it is at the ease of a consumer whenever he wants to watch that. I think Divya is still not there, so I will skip that question from another content creator's perspective. But let me go to Jay. Jay, I think we heard Shaili talking about the differentiation of content. You, in your entire career, I'm sure would have dealt with hundreds of clients. I was one of them at some point of time from a perspective. And what is your perspective when client think or brands think about content creation? Do they really think that I go to OTT guy and create some original content? Is there a ROI for that? Do he is really stuck again? Mujhe tumhare content pe sponsorship logo laga do. Is that what helps him? What is brand's perspective? If you can just throw some light.
Sure. See, brands, first of all, Neil, and I think you would agree with me, brands perspective is more about eyeballs. So, we are actually chasing the consumer. Content is a way of doing that. Advertising is a way of doing that, and that's how basically brands reach out to consumer. Coming closer to content, see, it's again, brands are not in the area of creating content. That's not their area of business. Their area of business is largely into reaching the consumer. So it's more about creating an engagement option. There is something which advertising cannot do, and that is where content steps in. The idea is not to create differentiated content or anything. So brands are not competing with Balajis or anybody of the world. They are trying to reach out to the consumer, and if there is a way where I can communicate better, engage more, is what the content. So it is more brand specific, it is more consumer specific, and that is where the content is created. Yes, if it brings in lots and lots of eyeballs, it's a great probably a huge success. But even if it brings in a fraction of the audience, but that audience which is very important to me, I have communicated my message very well with him or her, and on a consistent basis. So that's the area which I think brands would definitely associate. The second part is what you just said about tagging along. That is more riding on content which is great, and I like brands would want to associate with that more from a sponsorship perspective, advertising perspective. So that's just a short view in terms of that.
If you allow me just a little bit more on this one only, Jay, how do brands see ROI in creating branded content? I think that's one of the biggest feedback which most of the content creators have, that brand really don't see a lot because it's not measurable. I mean, we need mature brands to get answer of ROI by a lot of other attributions. Basis your experience, how do brands currently see ROI?
So again, there are two schools of thought. There is one school of thought which is looking at brand, looking at what's the value I'm getting out of that, trying to measure whatever I can. So in terms of passive engagement, active engagement, the association with the content, how many spots I'm running, etc. So even during the branded content piece, we break it down and we try and make it more mathematical and move away from the creative side, make it more mathematical, and therefore try and arrive at a number. Is one way of looking at it. I'm not a big advocate of that, but there is a way to do that. The second is obviously the measurement in why have you tried to create content? Why is a brand getting into it? And let's just to give you an example, let's say a brand is getting into a content case where they're saying that I want to say that my shampoo like, I'm just giving an example, is the cleanest. It does not dry up or anything like that. So you would create content and then you would try and measure that, that, because probably advertising has not been able to do that. I need to engage a lot more. So therefore, then the brand and the agency together need to have a proper measurement for that, because why have you created that content? You measure that. So I'm more an advocate of the second part, where, you go ahead, but given different sets of clients, different, respect all that, and therefore, would work either of the solutions.
Definitely. I think I can relate a lot of things what you said, as I was on the other side for most of my career. And that brings me to someone who's in the, so who's comes with a lot of numbers and a lot of research experience. Karan, this one is for you. I think a lot of us talk back numbers somewhere, but I think you deal in numbers through your entire life. So this one is for you, Karan. Basis your experience, I think all of us have heard that the next growth in content will be within regional content. I mean, regional content. So as per your experience or your research, what is regional content depth? And I mean, there are scale of OTT players, regional OTT players like AHA, Housechai. How are they performing? What, if you can just throw some light on that as well.
Right. So as you rightly said, Neil, that the regional content is the next big thing. If you look at the web series today, almost 40% of new web series productions today are, regional genre in nature. And earlier, back in the days, we had regional content which was looked upon as a content strategy which was ancillary in nature. Like, OTT platforms were not ready to invest heavily into regional content. They had budget constraints. You didn't have a web series in regional which is more than 10, 20 lakhs per episode just for a normal show. But I think now they have gone to a scale wherein OTT platforms are also ready to invest more than 1 crore per episode in the regional genre, because they really know what the potential of this market is. Second is that, typically this market has been going through a transition at a very slow pace versus Hindi. So if you look at the OTT landscape altogether in terms of the customer transition, it was the English audience which moved first. It is the Hindi audience which is currently moving at a very fast pace. And 2 years down the line, I think regional genre will be the next big thing in terms of customers transitioning from your traditional media to OTT media. So I think, most of the players want to be very well prepared for that. And they've already started investing a big amount of money into content. And that is where things are heading. The second aspect which you mentioned in terms of, the fragmentation, these smaller OTTs which are there right now, Housechai, AHA, which are there, I think they are very promising players. I'm not saying that they can become something as big like an Amazon or something like a Netflix, but definitely they are good in their own niche way. They have a good set of target audience. So something like a Housechai drives a good amount of traffic from countries like Bangladesh as well. Even an AHA would have a lot of traffic down South Asia. So I think these are like niche OTT apps which are offering differentiated content. And most of them come from a very strong backing in the form of, some of them are a production house, some of them are a TV show making house. So most of them have got a creative expertise, which is there in terms of how the content is made and what exactly the ways in terms of making it. So I think the only problem is that how they reach a certain scale, that is a challenge. So they might, get say about a 50,000, a lakh or 2 lakh customer. But how do they reach that million number of customers? That is a challenge for them. And I think the way ahead for them is that they'll have to tie up with larger players like Amazon, Lionsgate, all together, to actually get there to on the larger mass space. But I think in terms of content, they are doing a phenomenal job. And I think it's the quality of content offering is somewhat even closer to the global OTT giants in terms of what they offer.
Nice. I think when you get an answer from a researcher, I think it's so much backed up with a lot of experience. Karan, I think that's your entire answer was all about. So coming from regional to global, guys, I think this one could be for any one of you right now. So I think all of us have experienced that K-pop in music has really grown. Korean content, I mean, watching of Korean content has dramatically increased. And so recently Spanish content, where those are dubbed content, but still Spanish content is also becoming a need of the hour in India. How is it this reverse? How is the scenario of Indian content outside India? How important is global reach for content creators outside India? I think Shaili, Karan, Jai, any one of you can pick this up. I would be more than happy to get this answer.
So if I can just take that the question basically. So India content somehow has kind of lagged to go global. There are multiple reasons for that. we've been used to making the kind of content what our local audiences like, and not for the international audiences. I think it's too very early days. I think just about 4 to 5 years back, the entire OTT revolution has started in India, and our creative base is also now started kind of working on content which is good in terms of global reach. Just to give you a perspective here, in terms of the film industry, so 10% of your revenues for the film industry comes from overseas. That's the India market for you. When you look at the Hollywood studios, effectively more than 60% of your numbers come from non-US markets. So it's a very, very vast difference in terms of the kind of content they make versus the kind of content we make. But I think we will get there with time, because of the global OTT companies investing into large scale amount of content, and they clearly know how to do the asset sweating. They have a huge reach, they have a huge distribution mechanism. So I think Indian content also, will travel places. We saw that, we've seen that with some small films. I mean, some films which you could name in like so Amir Khan, Dangal, which was there, which is a very small example. But I'm sure that there are going to be more web series which are very compelling in nature, and you will see Indian content also traveling places over the years.
Definitely, I think I would love to see Indian content, and I think one myth I would have had, and you broke that myth really with 10% only of the content. I thought that there are Indians across the globe, and Indians watching Indian content across the globe could be one of the matrix where that number is high. And I'm assuming that 10% out of that 10%, 8% will be Indians only across the globe who are watching that content. Yeah. So thanks. I think. Shailesh, being a content creator, do you want to add something from a perspective?
So, traditionally, Indian films have done quite well in the Eastern European market, Russian and the entire USSR, what it was. Even today, as you go, the thing is with OTT, the reach becomes much easier, much faster. Like you could just have your platform and globally serve content out of it, which was not possible earlier. You needed a very complex distribution network and rights management, all that stuff. So the demand, I think, already exists. It's a matter of time that the penetration will start. And as Karan rightly said, the investment that's coming into this industry is going to help, just propagate this very fast.
Nice. I think I've come from a brand side to a tech organization, so it itches me always to ask a tech question. Shaili Bhadra, I mean, this one is for you. I think you are a content creator. So how do content creators are actually using tech to differentiate their content from each other, right? Is that really, firstly, is the tech used, and if it is used, how it is used to differentiate the content?
Okay, so I would like to segregate this into two parts. The first is like tech in content production and tech over content production. Now, these are two separate things. So when I say tech in content production, it is the regular technology applied by content creators, which is mainly VFX. And given the technological advancements in VFX, it's become very easy today for even an average content creator to go ahead and dream and realize his projects. And one of the examples that you see is a lot of remakes that are happening, like, in the TV series and all. Probably the third production for Mahabharata is already going on. And we just recently completed the second production. So, and that's basically based on, how effective it will be to the newer audience, and, how creatively we will be able to narrate the same story over and over again, kind of thing. So that's the tech in production. Now, when I'm saying tech over content production, it's going to be a game changer. This is where you actually combine content and technology to give a completely different experience to your user. And that's not only that, it's actually going to breed in a completely new set of content creators who will basically dream of content creation, keeping in mind the tech available, interactive content, for example. Very few platforms have experimented with it, but it's still to take off. And that's a huge area where people are in. I am not at liberty to divulge too much, but I can definitely tell you that the potential of exploring technology and content is huge. And it is completely going to change the user experience in the coming times. A couple of years down the line, you will see a film you have not even thought of seeing it the way. You'll be doing things with films which you just don't do. Today, you probably listen to a film You see a film, that's the max that you do with it.
Correct.
Few years down the line, it's going to be a different story and a different market, rather, I would say.
Correct. I really don't want. I really want to wait and watch how tech is going to be playing a big role into it. Talking about tech, I think Jay, if I can take the liberty to ask this question to you, I think all of us have seen. I'm a strong. जब भी Sony TV पे आता था और dub films आती थी from a south to Mumbai, I was a strong viewer of that, and I still love watching those films. And we have observed that dubbing is the next big thing in content creators, and to some extent, it is also differentiating content for content creators to that extent. But I also have been a user, and I feel that sometimes the quality of dubbing is not so good. You don't see the lip syncing happening properly. And when I ask some of the content creators, they say it's an expensive job to dub in every regional content, put it across. Basis your experience with content creators, with clients, how do you see this shaping up in the future?
See, from a dubbing perspective, I'm saying that obviously we've just discussed that that there is a lot of content, and it's not only for India. It's a very complex country. We have lots of languages, and obviously you would want to see southern content in Hindi and vice versa. And similarly, because of OTT, now we are seeing Spanish, Turkish, all those content. So that's it's like you get an opportunity to see content across the world despite the language barrier. Coming to the dubbing part, the other thing which we need to realize is that India is not a very literate country. One. Second, it is also, it's not a great experience to keep having subtitles and then sort of watching. So it's the user experience is much better, when it is dubbed. Even even if it is not the best dubbing, but at least if it is dubbed, it becomes much easier, much better to follow the story and all that. So according to me, I think it's a great experience. Yes, the dubbing cost is expensive, and it's prohibitive at lot of cases, and therefore we see sometimes the content is not greatly done. But the ability to watch content all across the globe, and sitting in your language, your preferred language, is something which OTT is a big tick marker. Today, I have a choice of saying, what do I want to watch it in, Hindi, English, whatever, and it allows me. So it's attracting more users. So I think it's a way forward. It's an opportunity for consumers to see that.
No, I completely agree with you. I'm also expecting that, I take Shaile's point on tech also. If there's a tech which gets launched soon, where the lip syncing and, dubbing becomes far easier, I think this tech will explode the entire industry. Imagine if you have a tech who can do something like this, you can convert any content across the globe into any language you're requiring. I think that's the need of the hour, Jay. Having said that, I think, this could be again for all of you guys. Most of us have observed that, and some of you said that theater experience is far better than, is priority than OTT also to some extent, or television to some extent. We have seen movies skipping theatrical release because of the obvious reason of pandemic and getting directly to OTT as a release. Is this in some way sacrificing the quality of story or the shoot quality, or it is giving opportunities for multiple content being created? I mean, what do we have as a perspective? Because as a consumer, I would really want to ensure that I get the best of the quality while I'm watching the content. But maybe as a content creator, it opens up opportunity to multiple content creators who do not have affordability to create theatrical kind of a release. So Karan, if you can go start with this, your perspective, where does this go?
Yeah, clearly. So, content creation, if you clearly see, has always been the case. It's been different, for both the mediums. Even before the pandemic struck, we had a lot of films which went direct to OTT that were created directly only for the OTT platform. But what has happened here is that many producers were not able to wait until cinemas opened up, and that's why they were kind of, forced to go to OTT. But I believe that there will always be a differentiating factor here. So there'll be some content which will be created for OTT, which will be only meant for them, and some content which will be only meant for the cinematic experience. Of course, films have skipped the cinematic route. Things have happened in the last 18 months for whatsoever reasons. But clearly, these are not sustainable trends because, the producer knows what the potential of a cinema is. Just look at this way, a film like in Uri, which was made at a sub 40 crore kind of a budget, would not have done collections of 320 crores plus had it, skipped the cinematic route. So that's the potential cinema has. right from your creativity aspect, benchmarking, box office numbers. These are very good metrics which one can track in terms of gauging the success and failure of a particular film. And you can't track these trends on OTT because none of the platforms will share that data with you, right? So I think also the third aspect is that clearly the revenue sharing part. So we've seen films gone directly on OTT. We've seen Radhe, we've seen Lakshmi. Now those are films which have gone OTT because the OTT platforms have paid a hefty money. I mean, I don't think the OTT platforms, have to focus only on movies. I mean, movies is of course one of their content strategies, but their key focus area remains to be creating large-scale franchise web series. That's where they get the loyal customer base, which is there. And producers will go to OTT only if the OTTs pay them a hefty premium or a hefty amount. They will never go to OTT on rev share. Like if you look at TVOD model, it's a massive failure in India. Even globally, like Disney produced Mulan and other films put together, none of them clicked well on TVOD. So the point is that these are various concerns which are there, and once things come back to normalcy, I see a big trend reversal. Moving into cinema, but of course there will be that niche content, as you rightly said. There'll be producers. For example, he was making 6 films in a year. He now make 10 films. Out of his 3-4 might be for OTT release only, and the balance would be for cinema. But I think OTT films are not going to eat up on cinema's film share. That is how it is, and the market is huge. I mean, today look at India. We are making close to 1,600 films a year, out of which 350 are Hindi films. So it's a very huge market. Even if 10% film goes to OTT, it's not going to matter the cinema medium.
Okay, I think that's very promising statement, and at the same time, a lot of differentiated point of view from a content creators. I have Divya. I think Divya has joined us now. So Divya, I think what I was asking Karan from a perspective was that if we have seen movies have been skipped, people are in theatrical release and they have been releasing on OTT. You being a content creator at your end at Odd Balaji, how do you see this? Do you see this as an opportunity for content creators to create some kind of great content for consumers sitting back at home, or do you see that from consumers angle, have you ever heard that they are finding the quality of content a little bit compromised just because it is not a theatrical release? I think this was
okay, sorry, but my point of view here is very different. First of all, I think content has become screen agnostic, right? So whether you see it on your mobile, you see it on your laptop, you see it on connected devices, or you see in theaters, it no longer matters. In fact, I think OTTs have opened up the possibility of now multiple filmmakers coming forward and making such stories which probably wouldn't have gotten a release in multiplexes or cinemas earlier, right? And every film cannot be a 100 crore blockbuster. So yes, it's a two-way sword. You will have a tough time monetizing a 200 crore blockbuster. But then it also opens up avenues for smaller films, things not spoken about, the industry seeing growth in that manner. So I don't think I have seen consumers at large complaining about the fact that, just because this movie is releasing on an OTT platform, it's bad quality. I mean, come on. We today are making originals which are running into crores. For example, one of the latest shows which released on Hotstar, right? It's a 70 crore COP show. So what are we talking about? The quality is definitely not a concern. I think, in fact, OTTs opened up multiple opportunities for smaller filmmakers to come forth and tell their stories, for an entire industry ecosystem to be set up, around those movies, etc., etc. Yes, it's a dampener when you're saying that, listen, these blockbusters, which were probably would have opened to a X crore opening across the country, and how are they going to work now? Yes, that's something which will sort of become a revenue model question mark. But I think that also can be achieved if you're looking at a combination of OTT rights, you're looking at a combination of satellite rights, you're looking at a combination of music rights. It sort of all adds up in the revenue space. And then there is also when a platform is acquiring a movie, it's acquiring not only for India, it's acquiring for global rights. And global, you have people paying SVOD, TVOD. Globally, it's accepted that you will end up paying for the product either through TVOD or SVOD is an accepted way of life, right? So there are multiple ways to monetize. Yes, you may not have those blockbuster articles coming out, But then you have other levels of monetization available, I feel.
I think brilliant. I think Divya, this perspective helps us a lot. How OTT has an opportunity for multiple content creators to bring in different segments of subjects being online, which they wouldn't have brought it on a theatrical release or something like that. Divya, you missed the first question. I really want to ask you one question. As your choice of content, if you have to pick theater, OTT, or television, what would be your choice and why?
I don't know how blunt I'm supposed to be here, but
Super blunt.
I have stopped watching TV for ages now because maybe I don't find the content that interests me over there any longer. OTT for sure. Because I am discovering stories and narratives over there every day, and it's regardless of the platform, right? I can watch the best of the stories on a Indian platform versus a international platform. So for me, it's the narrative that matters. I think movies, for me, movies has been a family experience. I'll be very honest with you, right? For me, it has been going out every Sunday with my husband and my daughter, spending those 3 hours in the theater, coming out of it, going for a lunch or a dinner, making it back, or, it's generally an outing with family and friends. So more than content catch up, it has been an immersive experience with family and friends for me. Of course, I miss that. We always believe that multiplexes and OTT will coexist.
Brilliant. I think a lot of us, I had the same answer, Divya, so you don't have to be super blunt. I also believed in OTT. But okay, before the Bijoya and all kick us out telling that, your time's up, one last question for you guys would be, Jay, I think I asked you this earlier, but if I have to craft this question in a different way, a lot of client within agencies also, you have a content team who works on content requirements of brands and clients from a perspective. How do you see brands are evaluating this along with your team of content creators? And I will go to Divya and Shelibhadra also. How are they seeing this, particular brands demand in terms of content generation for them, branded content generation? So Jay, if you can briefly touch upon, I'm sure you said something before this, but a different version of that.
No, Neil, content is a very complex, it's not easy. It's not everybody's, and that's why we have experts in the industry and everybody trying to create that. What we have at our agency and all is more like a filtration process. So to understand what the brand needs, they are not like somebody who are experts and can create a next Balaji hit or a next Yash Raj hit or something like that. So they are not those kind of people. They are just more leaning towards the brand side, understanding what the brand needs are, and they have a bit knowledge about content, and then they go to the experts like we have on the panel today. So we would go to these people and try and work with them and try and create. We don't self-create, trying to original content, because as I said, brands are not in the business of creating content. We want to use content to reach to our consumers. So that's where I think the whole story is. Yes, we work very closely with a lot of the partners to try and see that, is there synergies? If you're making some content and if it really resonates with our brands or their target audiences, we would want to jointly create and we would want to jointly work on that. So that's the way we are trying to look at it. So it's both ways. One is coming in from the brand. A brand has a need and we try and work with them. Or second is we keep exploring with content creators to see if there are synergies which could be pitched to the brand. So it's both ways.
Makes sense. I think Shelibhadra and Divya, I think I have been on the brand side for most of the time, and I've been always been so happy to go to an agency because that person talks to 20 content creators and he knows what is my requirement. At the end of the day, he can filter it out from that perspective. From your side, do you guys, being content creator, focus on branded content for monetizing, or you really focus on a perspective of creating content which is going to become really popular and then it will attract consumers on its own? I think, what's your perspective on the same?
First of all, I would like to say, give me number of Jay. I'm going to call him after this conversation and ask him to get me a few clients. That's part one. And second is, why would I be averse to business? It'll be stupid of me to be averse to business, right? So of course, we create content for the stickiness of it, for the consumers to enjoy, participate, engage on our platform. But at the end of the day, you're doing it for a business. So yes, while the slogan is that we create immersive content, but we create immersive content because we want the people and the masses of the country and the Hindi speaking globe, to immerse and engage with our app so the same can be monetized. So that is the bait and that is the reward, right?
Got it. Jai Divya is on the same call, same WhatsApp group we have created. So please
Absolutely. I'm calling
help her on the. Chairi, last comments from your end as a content
Yeah.
creator.
Okay. So I think this brand and content creation, they are evolving. Earlier it was just product placement and visibility, how many times the brand is appearing. It's evolved now to link it to the brand value, as Jai said, that it's a very it's getting a little complex now, I would say. Exactly, does the film resonate the value of the brand? Is it being literal? Is it being subtle? The character in the film, is it relating to the brand? So all those things are now coming into play. But what I see evolving and what we are going around is films around brand. For example, Jai gave an example of a shampoo brand saying, all through silky hair or something like that. How about producing a film that has the hair as a central character throughout the film? Maybe it's something being thought of, and then at the end you just relate it to the brand, or you bring in certainly where people are going to discuss, okay, ladki ye baal wali ladki who hai, for example. I'm just giving hypothetically, and that brand just relates to it, and probably the character of the girl is such that it resonates with the brand, bubbly or something. So that's the area which is evolving. That's one thing that we as creators for original, we are actually trying to explore. And I think Jay is going to have 2 people chasing him now.
But I guess, Shaili, I think 10 years back when I used to work in Resume and Universe account, we had created 5 movies with Viacom as something which were brand's persona, and basis those thoughts it was created. So one googly question to all of you guys. You don't have to answer this for the content which you have created. So if you have to pick one content, branded content or any content which is your favorite, could be anywhere across the globe, what would it be? One disclaimer is that you can't pick up your own content which you have created. That will be a little bit biased from your perspective. So something else outside that. Any one of you? Divya, you want to start, or anyone can pick it up?
Hooked to a piece of content. I'm hooked to people. I think I'm watching the characters, right? Okay. So off late, my latest fad is Turkish shows, but I think that's more from a perspective that, of course, they have very good looking men, and obviously you're drawn to them. The second part is they have some seriously good narratives, and also because they are their culture is so aligned to India that you sort of resonate a little more with them than you resonate with European content. So, I mean, there's so much content. I really can't name a particular piece of content. But if I was to name it out of the Indian content, I think I actually enjoyed watching Mirzapur season 1. I think season 2 never lived up to it. Season 1 was fabulous, but that was the last piece I think I really, really enjoyed out of Indian content.
Nice. That Karan, your choice. You guys have got a lot of time to think. I think Divya was the one who gave you time to think about which content you want to shortlist. Karan,
anyway, let's move on.
Yeah, I think a lot of dubbed content is actually doing very well. If you look at some of the Korean shows, they've been very good in the terms of story making, the dialogue, everything put together. I think India, web series, Scam was a marquee one. I just hope and there are more of such web series which are coming, because that was really impressive and amazing. Every aspect of it was really just brilliant.
Sorry if I'm a pundit between Black Mirror. Now that it comes to my mind, I'm a huge dystopian fan in Black Mirror, and I wish somebody in India would remake Black Mirror. But that's just my personal choice.
Why don't you attempt it?
Too convoluted for Indian sensibilities, and when you go through the stories, all of a sudden, I had my husband flinching from the screen and saying, "What are you watching? Like, what have I married?" So there.
If you have to pick one of your choice of content, one choice, don't give me a diplomatic answer.
You're asking me?
Yes.
All right. So I basically am glued to stories. So anything that has a good story. But if you are asking me particularly from where I am focusing right now and the films that I relate to, Castaway, Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara, the way they are produced and the way they have mixed content and brand and everything, I am glued to those kind of stuff right now, if you were to say. So that's where I'm heading. So I'm not whether diplomatic or business, that's the answer.
Brilliant.
And
Jeff,
if India is willing to sponsor, we'll produce the Black Mirror for them.
I kind of like what Shaili is saying, but there's one content which really comes to my mind recently is there's this show called Somebody Feed Phil, which is on Netflix. So it's a travel show. It's something about food and all that, and the way a lot of the restaurants and all have been nicely integrated into it. So it's not in your face. It's not. I don't even know if it is branded or it is not branded. But I'm saying I would love to create something like that for one of our brands, which is so long lasting. It's woven very well inside. So again, Castaway and all of them had like nice brands woven inside. But I think this takes the cake. It's like very, very, very nicely done, and that's something I would love to associate with.
Superb. I think, thank you so much, guys. If I have to just end it with a perspective, what the content I would like to watch, which I will go back to 15 years back, which is called Suryavansham on Sony Max. So don't judge me from that perspective, but I love dubbed movies and I love perspective from that. So over to you, Team AdGully. And thank you, Jay, Shaili, Divya, Karan for your time and discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.